Hello, friends. Today I'm super excited. If you watched some of the holiday themed videos we did a couple months ago, you might remember Tammy because she came on and did an amazing job sharing some tips and tricks for how to avoid debt and save money during the holiday season. And today she is back to share with us how to deal with debt, how to deal with overwhelm around debt and finances as we head into the new year. And a lot of us have a goal of getting our finances in better order. So, hi, Tammy.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. All right. So, I don't think we need to introduce you because you've already been introduced before, but maybe give a little short snippet for people who maybe didn't watch the video before.
Okay, so short and sweet. I have 20
Short and
years of
sweet.
experience in the debt collection industry. I personally have paid off over $480,000 worth of debt, became completely debt free. And now my goal is helping people to pull out all the negative emotions and simplify debt, budgeting, finances, dealing with creditors, collection agencies, vendors, improving credit, all the things without feeling shame, guilt, condemnation, bitterness, frustration, all the feelings that tend to keep us feeling overwhelmed and stuck and like a hamster on a wheel. Like my goal is let's break the wheel and let's make some momentum in a direction that better serves you.
Oh, awesome. Perfect. So, it's, the new year, and we are a lot of us, myself included, have the goal of getting our finances in order. In fact, you just said 480,000, right? Did I hear that number correctly? That you paid off?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. um, so some of us might have that much that we're paying off, some of us might have less, but it might feel like that much that we're trying to get out from under. So, but it feels overwhelming, especially if you're in a place where maybe you're in a season of like your income kind of like just barely covers your expenses. And so it's like, there's a lot of people like that who are living like that kind of paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth. And they aren't even necessarily using debt frivolously, right? They're using it, if they even are using it, maybe they just have debt because they've accrued it in the past and are trying to pay it off, or they have it as kind of a emergency buffer. But it feels overwhelming. It can feel very daunting. How can we address that?
All right. So this is another one. You're going to want to grab your pen and your paper and maybe some favorite highlighters, and we're going to get to work. So first of all, I'm going to ask the question when it comes to debt, what are you making debt mean about you? Because if you've got that internal dialogue going, I'm a failure, I suck, I'm horrible with money, I can't trust myself, my spouse is going to kill me, right? Then, like, it's hard to gain momentum when you're crushing yourself. So the first thing we get to be aware of is what are we making it mean? Because we can't change what we're not aware of, okay? Then the second thing is we get to actually forgive ourselves. We oh, like there's that saying of, oh, if I only knew now back then, right? Like I wish I would have known better, I would have done better, right? True, right? But beating yourself up over the purchase that you were not so happy with afterwards, or the loan that you got, or whatever it was, that does you no good. So let's focus forward. And here are some tips that we can actually dive into. You want to figure out, what is your total debt amount? Instead of having it float around in here, write it down on a paper, use some kind of Google or Excel sheet, something to get it out of here. Okay. Secondly, what are the interest rates on your debt? So when I list out my debt, I will list out, okay, I've got my house, maybe I've got a car, maybe I got a secondary car, maybe I've got X amount of credit cards. I literally list them line by line by line. And then I'll create a column called balance. This is the actual full balance of the loan, not what I pay monthly, but the full balance. Then next to that, the next column is interest rate. So if it's a 0% interest, I put 0. When does that end? That will be the next column. If the interest rate's going to kick in, I'll have a column. When does it kick in? Because I want to know that. And then the column next to that is what I'm paying them. What is the minimum payment, right? So when you get all of this out of your head and on there, and you've mapped out your minimum monthly payments for each debt, then we can start strategizing based on whatever your budget is. If your income fluctuates, great, no biggie. We got a plan for that. If you have consistent income, awesome. If you have side hustles that you're, like income's finally coming out on, great. We have a plan for that. So like budgeting is one of my most favorite things to do because of how many different ways you can do it to pull out the overwhelm, bring in simplicity. So having that mapped out is going to help big time. What is the cause of the debt? You want to identify why you fell in debt in the first place. Was it overspending? Was it unexpected expenses? Were there other factors? Because yes, we can white knuckle it. Yes, you can have a plan. But if we haven't addressed the root cause of why you fell in debt in the first place, you can end up back there. I've become debt free twice. Fell back into debt. Okay, I've addressed and am addressing why I got back into debt, right? So now I don't have to repeat that lesson anymore if I choose not to. And again, it's not about beating yourself up. It's not about blaming your spouse. It's not about shoulda, coulda, woulda, but didn't. None of that. We remove all of that off there because, again, you're learning. You're a work in progress. And that means you get to take whatever lessons you're learning and collect them and simply decide, do I want to apply this new knowledge so that I can go a different path, or am I happy at where I'm at? And either way, you're good. It's up to you, right? So the next step then is figuring out what are your values. And when I say this, some people really enjoy their Starbucks. Awesome. Write that down. Know what your values are. Taking a look at your past bank accounts, like I'll use highlighters and I'll highlight things, different colors. And so I will figure out, okay, well, what are my necessities? And that is food, shelter, water, clothes, basic clothes. Those are my necessities. That's what I need, right? So basic utilities. I will highlight all those a certain color. Then I'll go back through and look at my food. Okay. How often am I eating out? How often am I, buying Starbucks or, Dunkin' Donuts or whatever your preference? How often am I going to the grocery store? Right? So we want to create awareness around that. So that way, when we go to have a plan, the plan actually makes sense for our lifestyle, because let's face it, we've got busy moms, we've got busy dads, we've got and sometimes like eating at home does not always work depending on the season you're in, right? So like the worst thing you could do is, oh yeah, just make all the meals in advance and make it work. No, that's not going to work. So we need, right? So like we get to be aware of what season we're in and act accordingly. Okay. So knowing your values and then figuring out where you want to go from there. So like if the goal is becoming debt free, awesome. So we figured out what the cause of the debt was. We've mapped out, we know, we have a visual of what our debts are. Are you the kind of person who absolutely has to have an emergency fund, right? And what would an emergency fund look like for you? Like some people say, oh, I need, like $1,000 and I'm good. And other people are like, no, I need a whole year just in case, right? Everyone's different and there's no right or wrong to it. So like, that's a beautiful thing. Like when you work with someone who understands like and really takes into consideration your values, then they can really customize and work together with you to create something that actually fits your lifestyle instead of trying to make you fit into what they do. Makes no sense. And so figure out your financial goals, define what you want to achieve with your money, whether it's getting out of debt, saving for retirement, buying a home, investing into schooling or something else, going on a trip, saving for your kids' college, whatever it is, right? Figure out your financial goals, prioritize them. Most people have several things they want to be able to have money for. Prioritize your goals. It'll help pull out more of the overwhelm if you do that. You could create a budget. If you struggle with numbers or you find your brain shutting down, get somebody to help you. It is so worth it to be able to partner with someone to collapse that time. Like you could sit there and freak out over it and never get it done, or go into the shame, blame, condemnation feels of it. Or you could just say, you know what, I need help, and vet out whoever you choose to work with. They do not have permission to make you feel guilty. They do not have permission to go, I see you spent $57 this week on Starbucks. What's wrong with you? Right? I would fire them like crazy. So you want to make sure if you're going to partner with someone to help with budgeting, make sure that they have no judgment and make sure they are not coming down on you for past mistakes and choices. They don't have a right to do that. You want to, again, determine which way makes most sense for you to pay down your debts. Some people say, pay off the high interest first, or other people are like, no, pay the lower interest. For me, I'm all about let's collect the wins. So what that means is some of your high interest stuff may take you longer to pay off. So I'm all about, okay, if we pay off the lower stuff first, well, number one, we're proving we can do it. We're getting a win because we can cross something off of our list, which okay, raise your hand if you are a list crosser offer and you get fun, like it feels good, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All the green people just said yes. Okay, so right, crossing that off, right? But then here's the rub. Take whatever you were paying for that debt you just crossed off and roll it over into your next debt. So like if you're paying $45 a month for your lowest debt and you got that paid off, come the following month, you can add that $45 toward whatever you're paying on your next debt. And that actually helps accelerate if you can stick with that formula. So whether you do interest first or a small balance first, it's good. You also want to consider if you're paying really, really high interest on some credit card debt or loans, shop around. Look at your options to reduce your interest rates or consolidate your high interest debt. And if you're not sure how to do that, we'll make sure you have my info in the show notes. I got tips for you. That's a whole other conversation. But you always want to keep your eyes open for that. You want to explore programs or financial counseling. Again, if you feel overwhelmed, the worst thing you can do is stay stuck. Don't stay stuck. I've talked to and I've heard horror stories about people who have lost their loved one, they've gotten divorced. Now all the financial responsibility and obligations are falling on them, and that can totally shut someone down. Don't be shut down. Raise your hand. There are so many resources out there. With that being said, whatever you choose, make sure you interview them. Keep in mind, like as you are looking to work with someone, make sure that they can work with you in a way that honors your values, honors your goals, understands your priorities, and will protect those things and stand in the gap for you. Let's see. You want to look in terms of debt relief programs or negotiate with creditors. Again, there's so many ways to negotiate with creditors. I have 20 years of experience as a creditor. So you can negotiate on due dates, balances, monthly payments, interest rates. You can negotiate on even like skipping a month on certain kind of loans and things like that out there. So keep your eyes open for that. Can you increase your income? Is there anything you can do to increase your income to be able to funnel more money toward your debt? Freelancing, part-time job, taking your talent that you usually give for free and maybe offering for a certain fee hourly or, package or something like that. Look at what non-essential expenses you can cut. So like, I know some girlfriends who have the eyelash habit, right? And they chose to cut that out so that they could funnel money for vacation. Awesome, right? Either way, there's a payoff, temporary convenience, yes. And as soon as you get that goal, great, go back to the eyelashes or whatever it is, right? But like no guilt. Again, no judgment, no guilt, nothing about that. You at the end of the day, you get to choose what you spend your money on. And if you choose the eyelashes, awesome. If you choose the nails and toes, awesome. You get to have peace in making that choice. And you also get to choose not to feel guilty if other people judge you for it. People judging you, that's actually their issue. That's not your issue. So just remember, when people judge you, it's something about them they're judging because they're calling it out. And you just happen to be the target. So you can just wash that off. You want to openly discuss your debt with your partner or your family, because open communication can help you to get support and avoid conflicts. It can also bring a lot of healing in the case where like your spouse understands where you're coming from. If you both have slightly different spending habits, and to be able to communicate those things. And sometimes in some cases when they just don't want to hear what you have to say, sometimes it's worth it to go to counseling for something like that, or to work with someone who can act as a mediator or a coach who knows how to facilitate marital finance working together and stuff. That can actually catapult your results because of getting on the same page sooner. You want to look at and consider how getting debt free will improve your life. Oftentimes we feel overwhelmed because we can't wrap our head around. But if you give yourself permission just to imagine and visualize being able to wake up and have your dream day, not having to work to pay bills, but getting to work to do more of what you love, right? Like traveling or, whatever it is. What would your dream day look like? If you had countless zeros in your account versus having to use credit cards, where would you shop? Where would you eat out? Where would you travel? Like really envision these things and like close your eyes and just go all in. My journalers who are listening, like journal out what this would look like. And because this is something when you're feeling the overwhelm, you can pull that out and get yourself back in that place of experiencing it. Because the really cool thing about our brain is our brain doesn't really know when we think of something that it's not actually happening. Our brain thinks everything is really happening to us. So when we get in the emotions, we can shift that by forward thinking of, what's it going to feel like when I write out that last check to the last company I owe? How am I going to feel? How will my husband feel now that his vehicle is paid off, right? And so the other thing is having the wisdom, again, seeking professional advice or help if needed. There is no shame in that game, and it can collapse the time if you're feeling shut down and overwhelmed. What resources or tools can assist me in managing my debt? So like think about, there are apps, there are books, there are online resources. Again, if that all feels overwhelming, oh my gosh, just message me. I will direct you and I'll take you by the hand. We'll clean this up. Super easy. And then what steps can you take to prevent future debt? So you want to, look at a plan so that way you don't fall backwards once you become debt free. Because making money is a skill, keeping money is a skill, and then making it grow is another skill. And they're all things that will bless us if we can allow ourselves to have that plan.
That is awesome. Oh, I love that you kind of broke down how there's 3 different skills when it comes to money.
Mm-hmm.
That's super interesting because I think people tend to kind of just see money as like money, this big lump thing. So the breaking down the skills I think is helpful too. And those are all just amazing tips. So y'all, I hope you guys are taking notes as you were listening to Tammy, because that was just pure gold for how to get out of overwhelm and get yourself set up so that you kind of have a plan and a vision, right? And then when they reach out to you for some support, they already have a little bit of the groundwork done that can help you guys get momentum quicker. So that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely.
That's great. Okay. And so I'm going to put all of the links in the description, but there's several ways they can connect with you. So just tell them how they can connect with you, and I'll have the info in the description as well.
Absolutely. So if you are on Instagram, you can find me under The Resilient Tammy. If you're on Facebook, Tammy Price. If you're saying, you know what, I want a little bit more, I'm in overwhelm, I offer free 15-minute sessions where you can book time with me. Just simply reach out and I'd be more than happy to send you that link. I do free classes as well. And then if you go to my social media and you go to my Facebook page and you type in hashtag money minute or hashtag collections with an S at the end corner, you'll see a bunch of videos where I'm sharing even more tips on saving money and like dealing with debt collectors. Like there's a ton of stuff on there. There's like a whole library. And then I offer one-on-one consults, which are a little an hour where we go in, I answer your questions, we come up with a very customized strategy for you. It's not cookie cutter, one size fits all. And then I also do like group coaching. So like if you're like, man, this is great, I have friends, we all want to do this together. I'm a huge fan of saving money. So like if you have a group of friends and y'all want to get together and meet at some point on Zoom or in person, I'm totally down to do something like that.
Awesome. Awesome. So they can connect with you in terms of like if they want to message you and get some of your booking links.
Mhm.
Instagram or Facebook works for that. Okay,
Yep,
wonderful.
absolutely.
All right. And I'll have
Absolutely.
all of the links in the chat, y'all. All right. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Bye.
Mm.